Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Infinite Abilities Podcast. I am your host, Nick Yerhart, and we are here to encourage each other to find our own unique abilities. Let's go. All right, everyone. So today I have Kurt, and he's a very experienced podcaster, so I'm really excited to have him on the show. And before we get started, Kurt, can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thanks for having me on the show, Nick. I really appreciate it. First off, I have to say that I've been really excited following your show for a number of years now. But
Thank
about
you.
myself specifically, I started podcasting back in 2008 just by sheer luck, sheer happenstance. I was working on a website called webcomics.com. Let's mute that. And I said to the guy that was running the website, hey, we should do a podcast. We should actually, create a podcast with these amazing guests that you're putting into this webcomics database. And so that's how the show got started. It was two guys talking webcomics, and then it eventually evolved to two geeks talking webcomics. And for 16 years, out of spite and excitement for talking with people, I've continued doing this with over 1,200 interviews now, and I've evolved from just webcomics to now involving the industries of comics, TV, film, music, and video games for both professionals that have been honed their careers in those industries, as well as independent creators in these spaces where they may be just getting started or they've created their own social media following with the amazing world of the internet.
That's really exciting. And can you tell the audience what your podcast is called?
Yeah, it's called Two Geeks Talking. It's an entertainment industry interview show where we interview the creative people from the comic, film, TV, movie, and video game industries. And I'm the host, Kurt Sasso.
Awesome. That's so cool. And how often do you release an episode?
An episode is released every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern. I don't know why I picked that time. I just thought it was a good time slot. It works out well.
Good.
The podcast gets released. So the video side of things gets released at 7 p.m. Eastern. The podcast gets released either a week or two later around 11 a.m. on. So I like to space it out a little bit to give people a little bit of a breather for the guests that I have on the show.
Awesome. And when it comes to finding guests, who are you looking for specifically?
Well, when I first started, I was looking for anyone.
Yep. I know how that goes.
Exactly. So I was looking for anyone and everyone. And the first year alone, we had over 200 interviews, and that was 2 hours to 3 hour long interviews. So they were they were live streamed through podcasting. So they were very long shows. Nowadays, I've stuck to actively finding guests or people who have been guests on the show have recommended people. And I think that's the best way to get guests on the show. So while I want to get my top 10 favorite, people that I've ever wanted to interview on the show in terms of guesting, it hasn't happened yet, but I love every conversation that I have because between the research, between their personalities, between what they're creating, it's just new people I haven't had a chance to talk with. And I just love whoever comes on the show.
Now, I know you said that you have a list of top 10 people that you would like to be on your show. I say let's put that out into the world. Let's give us at least 3 top people that you would like, and let's see if we can make that happen.
Well, this one person unfortunately doesn't do interviews anymore. Tim Ferriss, amazing podcast and author, everything like that. I've loved his work. So Gary Vaynerchuk would be an amazing person. Just give me 5-10 minutes with the guy. I know he's extremely busy. I would just love to just pick his brain and ask my 4 questions I normally ask for the introspective portion of the show. And I think the final one, it's difficult. I think I would have to say, give me Christopher Nolan. I think that would be interesting. I think his space in the TV and film would be pretty amazing. And there's other female creators I can't think of off the top of my head as well. I'd love to talk.
Awesome. Well, look, I truly believe in just put things out there, and a lot of times they just attract to you. So it's really powerful. That whole law of attraction thing, it's real.
Keanu Reeves would be the other one. We'll go with the Canadian one, obviously.
There you go. Awesome. And then for you in your podcast, what's your favorite thing about having your own show?
I think the favorite thing is every person that I have on the show is new to me unless they've been on the show before. So I'm always learning something new about a different industry, whether it's actually in comics, whether they're a writer, an author, it could be a novelist. TV and film industry is so vast and versatile, from
It is.
visual arts to now with AI coming into play with a variety of different fields. Um, and then uh, you look at the music side of things. I'm not a musician, but I've had some amazing guests on the show that have been Academy Award winners. And don't ask me who they are off the top of my head. I'd have to do a search.
Yep,
And then the video game industry is so vast and so ever changing and so
it
amazing
is.
that I've had directors, I've had visual artists, I've had writers. I'd love to get more voice actors on the show. They're in industries that I want to be a part of and be in, but I don't have access or time to do that. So why not bring them on the show to dive in to what makes them experts in their particular fields?
Yeah, exactly. No, you kind of said, your podcast, it covers a wide range of things. Well, what's like the most exciting, industry for you that you talk about?
I think for me, because I'm in the industry right now, kind of on the fringes, but I'm still in it, the TV and film industry. I do DIT and DMT work. So DIT is digital imaging technician, DMT is data management technician. Same role, two different titles. We because I have a background in IT for over 20 years, I gravitate towards computers. So I'm copying and verifying footage constantly. So I love the back end side of things when it comes to film and TV productions. And I'm going to be on a few series this year where I'll be doing DIT work. And that's a wonderful thing to see. And they're local productions in Canada that are getting some pretty worldwide attention. NDAs, unfortunately, won't let me say what they are, but
Yep.
but they are good shows and they will be made shows to work on. But seeing how things work and being able to articulate how you can get into these industries, whether you're just thinking about it or whether you didn't even realize this was a profession you could get into, I think is the biggest excitement that I can have when it comes to talking with people.
Yep, yep. I totally get that. It's always fun when you get to talk about something that you're interested in, you know. And that's why I love having a podcast because like we get to choose our guests. Yeah, like you were saying earlier, we get to learn from each guest. So for me, sometimes I look for guests just based off something that I'm currently struggling with. I find somebody that I know has the answers, and then we do a podcast, and I ask them, "Hey, how would you get through this?" So it works out really good.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those things where I apologize. I have a garage door closing.
You're good.
No, I completely agree. Yeah, we do get to pick our guests, but we also it's the time factor when it comes to once you choose the guest, it's the time factor of the research, the investigation. How are they on social media? Are they the right fit for your particular show or your podcast? There's a lot of things we have to dive into when it comes to being a host. It's not just press record and away we go. We have a lot of back end stuff that people
Yep.
just don't realize. I had a live stream I just did with seven other podcast hosts from various walks of life all throughout the United States and Canada. And it was a great conversation. We dove into technology, AI, how to find your guests. What is the proper way to use a microphone?
Yep.
So many little things that we just had a great conversation on, and we'll be doing another show I think in a couple of months. But I think it was just there's so much you can do with your show, whether it's one-on-one conversations or whether you're diving into a specific niche or whatever the case may be. You can do anything, and it's just up to your imagination and your knowledge factor.
Mm. Exactly. And I'm totally with you on that. And like for me, it's like what you talked about earlier. Like when you first get started, you're like, "I'll take anyone." you know, I started this show about 10 months ago now. This is my 164th episode, I believe. So
Congratulations.
I've done a lot in a short amount of time. And at the beginning, it was like, yeah, let's just get anyone on, talk about anything. And now it's more focused on, like, I want to promote my guests. I want to learn what they get excited about, how they help people, and things like that. And like for you, you've been podcasting forever. So like for me, it's like I get to talk to an experienced podcaster who knows what they're doing and kind of pick your brain and see like what you enjoy about it. Now, with that being said, what's something that you don't enjoy about podcasting?
It's the editing. Um,
Exactly. Yep.
yeah, it's always the editing. Like promotion is easy once you get like I do custom title images, I create custom lower thirds. I use my graphic design background and everything that I've learned over 16 plus years. I'll be starting my 17th year in August of this year. So it's the editing side of things because while a lot of people just let it rip and let it go live and no editing whatsoever, and I did that for the first 6 years of the show because of the amount of guests and the amount of content and the amount of episodes, and it was just like there is too much for one person to do, so I just let it rip. I just let her go, and it is what it is. And that archive eventually will come back, probably behind a Patreon or whatever. But for now, it's locked in a couple of hard drives. Um, for me, though, because while I record video, I edit for podcast. And so when you look at a video interview on Two Geeks Talking, it looks disjointed sometimes because I'm trying to let the guest say what they want to say with their active train of thought. You know how it is when a guest just gets on a totally separate train from the original point. Three different tangents later, 5 minutes have gone by, and all of a sudden he's finally back onto the point that they're talking about. I don't like that. I understand that. I understand that's human nature, but I want to get from point A to point B without wasting your time. So it's very tight. I take out the filler words. I take out everything like that. I seamlessly crossfade the two frames or whatever I do, and I upload it for video and podcast. And so I know the product is good on two different levels. It's perfect on both sides. The guest gets what they want to say, and if I decide to add interactive elements into it as well, away I go. And then short content for other services I provide. So yeah, it's editing is a pain, but it's like a 6 hour process or less because I'm doing all of this manually because I just like that type of control because it's just what I do. It's how I've done it. I know there's tools out there and I definitely am learning them. But as of right now, unless I can do that for both video and audio with my current setup, I'm going to manually do it for now. And I just think it's worked out so far.
Yep. If it works for you, that's awesome. And I know, like, I've seen a lot of your stuff on social media and whatnot, and you know, I will say, like, you look at your stuff compared to mine, yours looks way better. But you're also doing a lot more work towards it to make it good. Where I'm more focused on, let's make it good. Let's get the message out there. I just don't have, just like you said, like when you want a person, it's like you can only do so much, and I'm running a business outside of this, so, but I love what you do. You're very good at editing. You're very good at adding things
Thanks.
on. So yeah, it's really awesome. And for the podcasters listening right now, what is two or three tips that you would give them to help them succeed in podcasting?
It's a long game. First off, this is a
Oh, yeah.
marathon, not a sprint. Don't expect yourself to be famous after 5, 10 episodes. It is not going to happen whatsoever, unless you get some serious guests on your show, and they're not going to know you from Adam and Eve or whatever the case may be. You're not going to be famous. Keep that in mind, and but don't let that stop you from doing the quality work you want to do on your podcast. That's number one. Number two, if your audio is horrible, fix it. I
Yeah,
don't care what
please.
you don't need to buy a $600 microphone, but you can tune your Rode or you can tune your podcast mic, or you can make sure that you don't have computer fans running when you're talking, or you don't have a stamping plant running behind you, or whatever the case might be. Fix your audio. Get even hire someone quickly to listen to how you're tuning your little soundboard or whatever the case may be. Get someone that's a professional to tune your stuff. I had a guy that had been in radio and television for over 50 years do a Skype call and do a Zoom call or whatever the case, whatever I did. And I haven't touched it in 15 years. My soundboard is still the same, and it has clear audio, clean, and it is a way. It's the way it needs to be. Now I still clean it up in post because Zoom and whatever else, but I know that I can take that soundboard anywhere and it's going to sound exactly as we're talking here today. So fix your audio. If you have bad audio, it doesn't matter if you have a video podcast or an audio podcast, no one is going to listen or watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Tip 3, no one knows about your show. So promote it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying paid promotion. I'm saying organic promotion. Reach out, engage, use your social media platforms that you have just created. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever other social, Blue Sky, etc. Use them to your advantage. Reach out to people. Don't just be, hey, here's my episode, away you go. Actually interact with people. If you're not interacting with people, no one's going to watch what you're doing. They're not going to know you're a real person. They think you're going to be some AI host or whatever is
Yep.
happening these days. And then, you're not going to get people actively promote. Panic is a lot easier to achieve than you realize. But be mindful of the audience and the show that you're trying to create. If you have a set of morals and values that you want to maintain throughout your show, stick with it. If you don't want a certain guest that has a particularly different viewpoint of what you're actively doing, don't get them on.
Yep.
There
Exactly.
are levels to what you want to do with your show. And if you're just starting, it takes time. I didn't do video podcasting until 4 years in. And the only reason why I didn't do video podcasting was because at the time there was no real quality of video out there. You're dealing with 630p and it was 720 was just coming into play. That's not the case now. You could do 4K or whatever the case is. But you don't have to go bigger and better from the very beginning. Start at 1080p, and if you're going to do a video podcast, save the audio. Edit for audio, release both at the same time. A lot of podcasters say, "Oh, well, you should just have a podcast and away you go." No, the way media is, the way social media is, you need both because that is double the reach that you're going to actively do. And if you're doing one edit for two different sources, perfect. You've just saved yourself half the hassle, and you can promote it on by clipping it, by doing shorts, by taking your long form content, etc. There are many different avenues to promote your content. If you're not actively doing it, and yes, it's a pain, trust me, I know, and you do as well, Nick.
Yep.
It is a pain to do, but it is worth it in the end. The pain at the beginning is worth it in your final result. And that's what people remember.
Yep. Exactly. I'm with you on that, and I'm glad that you talked about audio because I've had a lot of guests that come on the show and their audio it sucks. Like it sucks. And it's like all right, if the content is good, we'll roll with it. But I prefer like every time it's like I get on a call with someone and I look for a microphone. It's like all right, they got one, and they're like your setup. It sounds incredible. Mine, I'm not at your level. I literally have a mic plugged into my computer. That's it. But it works pretty good. And another thing that I did not know, like this is how much of an amateur I was when I started. I didn't get headphones until December. Now, I always knew like get headphones so then you don't get feedback and all that. So like what I did, I had AirPods in so I could hear my guests through AirPods. Well, I didn't realize, like, you want headphones so you can hear yourself also. So you know what you're sounding like. So you know if there's any background noise that you don't know about. And yeah, ever since I got my headphones, I've really been able to improve my audio quality so much. So yeah, really important.
Yeah, look, the comfortable, if you have a good set of headphones, it makes your job and your life so much easier. I mean, I'm going to ask you what exactly you have there because I need to find a new pair for myself too.
I've got Rode. Yeah, Rode. Don't ask me which ones. I can send you a text after this.
Sure.
But yeah, they're super nice. They got like the cooling gel so that they don't get really hot. So, but yeah, I really like them.
Yeah,
Very impressed.
yeah, I have the Sennheiser 580s. The only thing I don't like about them is the earpieces. They fray after a while after
Um,
use.
yeah,
So I'm trying to find something that'll fix that. But that's just minor things. Like they're comfortable, they work. I can hear everything, and I just love the fact that technology is evolving so much. The only thing I haven't changed is my Logitech C920 old webcam. Software has made it so that I can look like this. Well, lighting helps a lot too, but
I'm actually still using my MacBook camera.
nice.
Now, I did just get a new camera. By the next episode, I should have that one set up and ready to go.
Awesome.
So yeah, yeah, I'm not using 4K or anything like that. It's like yeah, it works. It's the constant improvement, like you were talking about, like constantly improved your show over the years, and that's what people have to do, and that's what you have to do with anything in business, anything. You have to improve, otherwise you're going to get left in the past.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and the same goes with AI is out there. It is one of those things. There's great tools out there that you can utilize for your podcast, but you have to edit the stuff too. It's not like you can
Yeah.
just copy paste away you go. Like for me, it's more of an administration tool more than
Hmm.
anything. Like if I can get it to a level where it can automate certain processes of my show in terms of like say like I'm already doing that with my social media posts. I'm already scheduling my content
Hmm.
on the social medias that I have, so that's great to see. AI will eventually get to a level where we can actively utilize it for podcasting and for video as well. I want to see it how it works for both, not just for the creation of content. I think it's a whole other conversation, and
Yeah.
we're not going to dive into that. But I think it comes down to how are you using the tools available to you. And if you aren't learning about these new tools, fear aside, fear has nothing to do with your process. It's just your own headspace. But
Yeah.
if you can actively use the tools that are out there to make your show or yourself better in some way, shape, or form, then do it. What's an hour a day to you when it comes to learning something new?
Exactly. When it comes to AI, I tell people, think of AI as an employee, not really a tool. Think of it as an employee where the AI can do 80% of the work. You still have to do the final 20%. You know, some people just think that they can click a button, and use AI, and it's gonna perform good. Well, you don't have the human touch, so you gotta make it your own. You gotta make it specific to you and your brand and
Yeah,
your audience.
yeah, no, I completely agree. Like, I'm looking at Descript right now just to see if I can utilize it for video and audio, if it will fit how I do my show.
Hmm.
I've heard good things about it. I've seen AI TED Talks talk about it, among other tools out there. I just interviewed a producer for the James Aldridge show, Jay, who's a huge tech head in that space, and he was diving into his entire creative process as an engineer. So like I learned so much from the people I speak with, and if I don't know something, there's no harm in asking a question. It doesn't make you look weak. It doesn't make you look stupid. It makes you look, it makes you want to learn or want to be a better person. So never be afraid to ask the question you want to ask, whether the person is famous or whether the person is an indie. Maybe they have something that you lack or you don't know about that they can give you. And that's why I love doing the show. And that's why I love talking with, being on this side of the microphone instead of where you're sitting sometimes, so I can give myself a breather after
Yep,
all these years.
yep. Isn't it weird how much different it is when you're a host person, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, it's I don't know about you, but, like, I get way more nervous as a guest than the host now. It's just like, I don't know if it's because I don't have control, I don't know what it is. It's just like, this is kinda weird.
Well, I think for me, it just comes. Look, I call myself an introverted extrovert, and I use that terminology only because I can be an extrovert when I need to be. Do I like it all the time? No, not so,
Same,
not
same.
whatsoever. But I'm an introvert at heart, so I can put on the face, I can put on the guess, but it's still a genuine me. It's still me asking the questions. But when you're on the guest side of things, have you done your own research like yourself? I've talked with you in the past, and I love the business model you have, and I love what you're currently creating, and I'm working towards that on my side as well. So I think what you're generating, especially for 10 months and 163 episodes plus whatever you're creating on your business side of things, is a great avenue and a great, perspective when it comes to podcasting is a business. It is not a hobby. I think a lot of people still don't understand that this is a business that people uh, should pay for and when
Yeah.
needed.
Yeah, exactly, and, like, what we do, like, with my clients, all of my clients have a podcast because I help people grow the podcast and, do it the, easier way than the kind that takes, days to edit. But, like, for us, it's like, okay, you have an existing business. Let's focus your podcast about your business. So then it's not just a hobby. It can be much more than that because then you can, leverage the podcast to generate more leads for your business, talk to the right people in your industry. That's the big thing is like when you have a podcast, as you know, you can reach to those, higher up people in the world and talk to them because they want to be a guest on a show. So yeah, I just think that podcasting is so powerful, so much fun, and yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, I love the fact that
Are you there?
yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Sorry, kind of cut out there for a second.
Yeah, I've
Uh,
seen that.
I was like, oh, geez. No, but yeah, back to the podcasting side of things. I've had a lot of people who have said, I've heard of Two Geeks Talking. I've heard of TGT Media, and to me, that's still shocking. like after all these years, it's like, oh really? How did you find me? And I don't pay much attention when it comes to like I have a lot of people actively searching. I'm on a few other boards, Matchmaker, a few other things like that, but when I go to comic conventions or whatever, and I'm wearing some like a hat or whatever gear I have on, it's like, oh, I've seen that. I remember that logo. Or it's the branding side of things that if you start out properly in the beginning, like for me, I hired a graphic designer who was a comic creator. She's still in the graphic design industry, and she created my logo, and I haven't touched it in 15 years, and it's still memorable. It's still people recognize the color scheme, the logo, the branding, everything like that. And I keep that consistent with whatever I create. But I think it comes back to the fact that you can reach out to people in the social media or look at IMDb Pro and find out those people there if that's the space you're looking at, or find other avenues, a connection within a connection, or a podcast you host that you've had on the show yourself, and you can reach out to their network and say, hey, I'm looking for this type of person. Do you have anyone you can recommend? It feels like it's still all about networking, but in reality, you're just making friendships.
Yeah,
Networking is just a very a key word,
it
but
is.
and
Yeah,
if you think of it in a more personal space, we're making a connection. We're communicating. We're having fun. We're chatting. We're giving knowledge to each other in a wonderful space. And if we can actively do that on every show and not think always about the financial side of things, even though that is very
yeah,
important, we can still have a good time, and we can still, recommend, say, that guest to someone else in your own network. If I have a great interview with a guest, I'm going to chat with at least 10 other podcasters I know in a group that I have. And hey, this guest is a really good person to talk to. He or she talks about this space. If they're perfect for your show, here's their contact information. Obviously, I ask the guests ahead of time, but
Yeah,
it is sort of
exactly. And, like, going off of that, earlier you said that you wanted, more, voiceover actors on your show. Well, I know one. So
cool.
guess what I'm gonna do after this?
Nice.
I'm gonna connect you two. It's just the power of network, you know? Like, not only are we recording an episode, but we're getting to know each other, and we're learning how we can support each other. And I think that's just so, powerful.
Yeah, I completely
So,
agree. We are so in our own bubble
yeah.
when it comes to being a host, and when we come to running a show, we feel like we have to take on absolutely everything, and we don't. We should be
Mhm.
able to ask for help when needed, and when it comes to networking, when it comes to connections, when it comes to technology. How do you improve yourself? How do you improve your show, whether it's through a book or whether it's through a guest?
Mhm.
There's so much we can actively do. It's just a matter of, do we want to put the time into ourselves? And a lot of times when it comes to running a show, we think it's all about the guest, but you got to take a look at yourself too and figure out how you can improve as needed.
Yep. So we probably wrap this up soon. I think me and you could talk for a couple more hours, but I keep this show short and sweet. So my slogan is your abilities are infinite. What does that mean to you?
I think it goes back to what I've been talking about. How are you going to actively improve yourself? Whether it's an hour a day, whether it's you spend a month on a sole topic or a subject or whatever it is, if you can improve yourself in some small way, shape, or form, whether it's you want to get better at communicating with people or reaching out through social media or getting better at graphic design or being a better podcaster, how are you making yourself better? And I think that is an infinite ability right there, is because you can improve yourself infinitely. It's just a matter of will you and can you. And if you do, great. And if you don't, you're the only one to blame. Well, Nick, thank you. This has been an eye opening conversation, a wonderful conversation that I will definitely be sharing on all my socials. Definitely, for sure. You can find, of course, myself on all social medias. You can go linktree.com/, two geeks talking. That's TWO, not the number two. That is not something you want to go to. TWO, geeks talking. You can find me on all social medias that way. My show is obviously mainly on YouTube, youtube.com/TGT media. You can find the podcast at twogeekstalking.podbean.com or just search Two Geeks Talking wherever you get your podcasts. And as I say every week, everyone has a story to tell. It's up to me to help bring that out. Thanks for listening, watching on Nick's amazing show.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, you guys, you know where to go. Go check him out. I know his podcast is really good. I've listened to a handful of episodes. It's awesome. So get out there and support Kurt.
I
All right.
appreciate it.
Thank you again, Kurt. If you enjoyed this show, please go ahead and share it on your Instagram story and tag me in it, the Nick Yerhart. Also, go ahead and share it anywhere else that you see fit, because the only way that I can grow this is by you guys sharing it. I don't sell anything on here. I don't have any sponsors, so let's just get it out there by word of mouth and help more people. Alright, everyone, remember your abilities are infinite.